in Cron.
Okay. All right, so that's recording and the audio is on. All right, so now let's share the screen. So today, I'm just going to go over some of the homework, some of the scripting examples. So we're going to get through those, and then, that's the plan. Okay, so that'll be the plan for today. So let's just take a look. Are there any questions, I guess, before I get started? All right, no questions. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the problems that we have. So I'll just concentrate on those. So let's first identify them. So this week we were going to do task scheduling in Cron, but I'm going to push that off a little bit and just finish up these scripts. Let's see. So we have these scripting problems, right? So complete the 3 scripting problems. Right. And then here they are. Oh yeah, and we have the case. So let's just go through those. The cuckoo's egg is pretty. Actually, I'll start with that one. It's pretty straightforward. And then we have, so cuckoo's egg, my nmap, which is your own scanner of IPs and port numbers, and then also the file permissions issues. Okay, so that one, number 2, is probably the easiest. And so let's take a look. So let's start with the cuckoo's egg, I guess. So we'll start with the VM. The virtual machine. All right, here we are. So let's log in. All right, so here we are. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share this. So let's open up a terminal. I'll go to the desktop. And let's go into 372. Right, so here we need to create, let's call it password cracker. .py. Okay, so here basically what we need is we need two files, right? And we want to compare the contents of each file. That's really the objective of this problem, right? And so we want to create a list of passwords. All right, so we need a list basically. So you can create now, you know, if you wanted to do this completely, I guess you would do something like this, right? So open, you're going to have a list of, you know, plain text, plain text words, let's say, right? Plain text words .txt. You're just going to read them in, right? And so now you say something like for word in f.readlines, right? So we're going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have the actual word, and we're just going to go ahead and encrypt it. So let's say here, word crypt is going to be equal to crypt of the word itself. Does this make sense? Obviously, I need to create this text file, but it's pretty straightforward. All right, so that would just be my dictionary. And then now, of course, I also need to read the file. According to the case, there was a file that was stolen. Okay, there was a file that was stolen. So what we can do there is just say, for instance, F stolen, right? Now these are encrypted. So let's say open, and I'm going to say here stolen, whatever, stolen passwords .txt. Now this one in theory should be encrypted already. All right, you can just put in a few encrypted values in there. You don't have to, I mean, at least I'm not going to do 30. You know, you should do 30 just for your own knowledge. So now this one, I'm just going to create a list, you know, list of crypto passwords. All right, I'm going to create this blank list. So now I'm going to populate this list as I do this. So for instance, same thing for crypto, let's say for crypto in F stolen .readlines, right? So this allows me to get all the words. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm just going to add them into the list. So list of crypto password .append, and then what am I going to plug in there? The crypto word. All right. You guys understand? This is the stolen one. You don't know what's in it, but you know that you have crypto words in there. Now over here, this is your attack. This is your dictionary attack, if you will. My dictionary attack, right? And here you're going to have your own list of words. You know you're using the same encryption algorithm. That's the key assumption here, that you figured out what the algorithm was used, and then you can also, or the hashing, sorry, and then you can also do the work, use the same work. So this should be it. So now when I get my words from my dictionary, I do crypt.crypt. That's the assumption that they both have the same dictionary. Now what do? I'm going to compare to every single word in the list. So the simplest, although probably less efficient way of doing this is for crypto candidate, let's say, in list of crypto password. So for crypto candidate, let's actually make that shorter. Just like that. For crypto in list of crypto password, what do? Compare them, right? So you're going to compare every single one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. If word crypt, which is that one, right? From your dictionary. Remember, F is your dictionary. Equal crypto, which is the ones that you got from the actual list that you stole. You guys see that? So if word crypt equal crypto, 1, 2, 3, 4, then what do? Print match, and you print the actual word. You print the actual word itself, which you don't want to print word crypt because that's going to be encrypted. You actually want to print the word itself. Do you guys see that? Do you see how that works? Yeah? Any questions? Any doubts? All right, so now if I want to run this one, that's it. I mean, that's as easy as it has to be. I'm going to do here. Why is it doing this? I don't know. And so you're going to do here. So let's just create the files. I forgot the name of them actually. So we need to have a file called plain text words. So that's easy enough. .txt. You just need to put one word per line. Okay, so egg. Anyone know why it's doing that? What is this? What is the deal? So okay, so as I was saying, you put in some words in here. So for instance, egg. What are some common passwords that everyone types? Give me your passwords. Not that, but just password, right? User. Everybody types user, password. Car. There used to be a common one. I forget. But admin is a common one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the exactly right. And so, hello world. Yeah. So that's the idea, right? So the problem is people type common words, and so again, this was just an exercise for you to practice. So this completes that task. The other one's a little bit more complex because the other one requires you to do the crypto yourself, right? So you have to do import crypt. And then you do something like crypt dot, which we had done, I think. And then egg. And there it is. So I'm going to copy this. And then now I need to see the old one. So stolen passwords. So nano stolen .txt. And so now you do paste. Yeah. Right. So that should be a line. And then I'm just going to put in something else. And I'm going to put in something else. You know. So just as an example, so I'm going to do Control X. So let's see what happens now. Let's see if I have any errors or if it doesn't want to run. Script is not defined. Oops. So I have to import script. It's running, but it did not give us a match. So when something like this happens, then it's a good idea to debug, right? So we're going to go in, and maybe you guys can spot what the issue might be. I am just going to do print word crypt. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that in here because I should have everything that I need. So I'm just going to do print word crypt first. Yeah, word crypt, just to make sure I didn't do anything wrong with the logic. And then print what's the other one? Crypto, right? All right, so let's run this. Okay. So you can see that it's working perfectly, right? So there's something probably in one of the characters that it's not liking. If you think about it, this is what it finds, this is what it generates. This is what it finds, this is what it generates. But here, this is the one in question, right? Egg was probably the first word. So it's definitely generating in the code, and this is the one I generated manually. They don't look anything alike, do they? All right, so let's take a look at, these are the stolen. So the first one is the one I added in there. Hmm? Different seeds. So you want to put in the crypt that some kind of a seed. Yeah. So you mean something like this? Did you guys try something like this in your own code? Yeah. So let's try that. So what you're saying is something like this, right? So I'm going to plug this in, which means I need to get a pass. When I generate the password, I also need to do this. All right. So I'm going to try that. So then I need to go here. And now I'm going to do import crypt. And then it's going to be crypt dot crypt egg. Check. All right. So then we have this one. So then I'm just going to add this one into the. I'm going to add this one into the file. Oops. Stolen passwords, correct? Let's just kind of add it somewhere in here. You guys see that? See what I'm saying? Making sense? All right. And so now I'm going to do Control X, Y. So try it again. All right. Is there any match on here? This is the one. There was no match. So let's do. All right, so plain text words. Let me see that. Should be egg. The first one. Okay, so it should be. I'm just going to print the actual word also. I'm also going to put here. I'm also going to put here an input just to kind of go through this slowly. And I want to pinpoint the problem. Because I think the logic is correct. It's just that crypt function, as you guys said, is generating random values. All right, there's one. That's egg, but not with the correct password, right? This is the one it generated at the top. This is the one that's in there. Oops. Just comparing to the other ones. Now that's the right one. This should have been a match, but it wasn't, right? Because it generated this in the code. This is what I have in the stolen file. Do you guys see that? Yeah. So that's exactly, so the logic works. The only problem that we need to figure out is why are we not using the same, yeah. If I do one? Oh, really? Ah, that's a good, you know. Yeah, I think, you know, that's a good observation, because what you're saying, if what you're saying is, it's still, when it reads, it still leaves the new line character, and then it encrypts with that. And when you do a hash of anything, even if one bit is different, the hash looks totally different. So what we can try, based on what you're saying, is I'm going to try to remove that, which makes sense because in the list, I don't have new line characters probably. So what I can do is here, just make sure word control. There they are. Nice catch. Very nice. Do you guys see that? That's it. So as he was saying, by leaving that new line character in there, yeah, whenever you change even one bit, the whole thing looked completely different. Without the new line character, now they're exactly the same. Should work. So we'll try that in a sec now. Because it should say match at some point. Of the other one too. Okay, so strip it off both. Yeah, makes sense. And so yeah, we'll complete that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, it works. So now let's just, for completion, let's just do that one, that part. Yeah. Yes, I will in a sec. No worries. So let me just finish it up. So there's probably, if the match is not working here, word crypt should be taken care of now. So let's do, crypto is already encrypted, but let's, I guess, if there's a new line, because we're getting it encrypted already. So let's try. And I'm going to remove these actually. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Nice. You guys see this? So now it basically just gives us the match, gives us the actual password, and we're done. So let's go over it one last time. This should be recording, so you can just look at the video too. Let's do it one last time. So as you can see, we did import crypt, right? And then we have a list of crypto passwords. We got those. These are the stolen passwords from the case. Okay. We basically for crypto and stolen, right? And then we add them to the list of crypto passwords. So now we have them available to compare. Then this is your dictionary attack. So you open a list of a file of words or word and read lines. We got rid of those new line characters. We did the crypt. And then we just have to, once we have each word candidate from the dictionary, we can compare it to the stolen crypto passwords. We get rid of that new line character here. And then we just do if word crypt equal crypto, and then we print a match. And that's it. Are there any questions on this one? That's it. Right. Make sense? All right, great. So it sounds like there's no questions. So let's move on to the next one. So the next one was to do a port scan, correct? So if we go back to Brightspace, okay. My nmap.py, complete the port scanner code as described during lab, scan several IPs and port numbers and show if they are open or closed. Okay, so we'll do that one. Should be pretty easy. And I think I had done some of it. Let's share the screen. So yeah. Yes. Yes. That's literally the cuckoo's egg. Don't you agree? I mean, that's it. If you want, I mean, if you make it more complex, like stealing the actual pass WD file, then you have to know the exact hashing algorithm that was used there. So that's on you. That's more challenging. So, but really, I just wanted you to practice. So that this is good enough for the assignment. Any other questions? All right. So now let's do the other one. That first one is my port scanner, I think. Okay, so there we go. This one we're using Scapy for this one. So let's go ahead. So if you remember, I gave you the Legos, if you will, right? The pieces for you to build it. So key things here. You know, the library is called Scapy. And then I showed you how to have some, you know, the banners, the port numbers, the list of ports, how to create lists, sort through them, have a dictionary of port to services, right? And then get the keys, the items, the values. And then we talked about the socket library, right? Which allows us to actually send network packets, right? You will need to have actually nmap, the actual nmap, run it on maybe your own VM, make sure that you can see that you have some ports open, and then with your show that, and then with your port scanner, your own port scanner, also show us in some way. Not as fancy, but certainly. So this is the socket connection. This is S-Connect and then receive. And that's basically it as far as that. Then I did the try catch over here because you're going to have that issue. And then I just said create, scan a few IPs and a few port numbers. So I pretty much did a lot of this. So let's start here, I guess. So we have a list of ports that we want to scan. I'm just putting in a couple, you know, some ports in here, 3. You can put however many you want. And then you have over here the list of IP addresses. So I just have 3, the local host, and then a couple more. That's obviously dependent on your own network setup. And then what are you going to do is you're going to do for IP in list of IPs, for port in list of ports, and then you basically scan it somewhere. So I just did this like scan function, but we can just do it in here. I can say, since I already have the library set up, right? So I did all of this. So pretty much here, I can leave that there. And then this is the code that I'm going to need to have down there. So I'm just going to comment it out. Okay. You see that? Now this try catch is what we're going to redo. So I'm just going to take that out here. The try catch is important because if you don't get a connection, like if you don't get a connection, it'll error, right? And so you kind of need to deal with that in some way. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, try. Up. Okay. And then here, then we're going to say something. This is where we do the actual scan. So all we have to do is look at the previous code, right? So it says s.connect because everything is already set up. 1, 2, 3, 4, s.connect. And then it's going to expect a tuple. So we're going to plug in here. And it takes the IP, I think, and the port. Right. So then because we're iterating, we just take this IP and that port, which are the corresponding. Right. And that way we can do an actual scanning of multiple IPs, multiple port numbers. Do you guys see that? So I can do here IP, comma. You guys understand? I mean, that's it. So then, we put in the rest answer s.receive and print. I'm just going to copy that. Let's put a message in case, something happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just say something went wrong. You guys understand? That's it. So, say that again. It does not. That's the whole point. That's what the try is for. So the try actually doesn't matter if it errors out, times out, it doesn't, that S-connect doesn't work. It'll just go to the except and say print something went wrong and the iterations continue. Yeah, that's the whole point because here you kind of depend on the network. As you know, networks are unreliable anyway. And in this case, you're trying to scan things and so it might error out, timeout. So definitely the try catch over here. All right, so we have this approach. So I'm just going to comment out these, given that I'm not really using them right now. They were more just for, kind of for the demo when I did this before. But we really just need this, the networking library, the socket, initialize it. Then we have a list of IPs, a list of port numbers. And then now we want to scan. So I'm going to scan here 21, 22, and 80. So before I do that, I'm going to save it, of course. Yeah. Give me a sec. Let me go back. Sorry. Which one? This is for receiving the data. So it makes a connection, but then when it's gonna wait So it's like an object that sends a packet and then it waits. And it's waiting to receive at most 1024 bytes. Based on what it receives, it'll print out answer, maybe the banner. So if I scan a port SSH on that machine, it's going to send me a packet back and I capture it with answer telling me it's running SSH on. Does that make sense? All right, so now let's run this one. So I'm going to do Python 3 here. There you go. See, it worked. It worked at least once because it was able to scan FTP, right? Which port is that? Huh? 21. Or since you have your own port scanner, you don't even need to know that, right? All you have to do is do the following. If you get an answer, it means that it worked, right? So then just print IP, print. Obviously, you can print this in a more presentable way than what I'm doing, but it'll tell you actually. And then you can put a line here if you'd like, just to kind of make this better. So that. So now, see, it tells me. You guys see that? All the other ones, I just wrote something went wrong. You could also have written all the other ones are closed. You see that? So, and that would have been easy to do. And if I do netstat -na pipe, don't worry about this command. We'll spend a couple of lectures to understand just this one command. So netstat -na pipe grep TCP, because as I'm scanning TCP, you can see in fact port 21 is open there. Okay, and so port 80 is not open. Port 22 is open, but it for some reason it did not scan that one. Minimize this. Meaning to do that for an hour. All right. So yeah, much better. You guys see this? So at least one of it works. Do I want? Is the exercise build a port scanner as good as Nmap? Does this kind of do some Nmapping? That's it. All right. You can from this point on, you can take it as far as you want, but as far as the homework, this is good enough. Is this clear? All right. So now let's go to, so that, as far as I'm concerned, that completes this problem. Okay, you can see that it took like 20 minutes at most. If we take a look at, I just want to make sure there are no more questions. Oh yeah, let's go back to Brightspace. So you guys, for this homework, you had 3 problems. We've done, you guys can do the other one, correct? File permissions, you can figure it out. All right, yeah. All right, so are there any other problems you want me to go over before we move to today's lecture? So these are, I mean, I don't remember that there was anything else that was. The Linux commands, this is pretty easy, right? You just have to type the commands. Yeah, go ahead. Which command? I'd have to look at it to understand the context. Yes, go ahead, please. Yes. Really? Are you using the seed VM? Because it's in that one. Oh, why aren't you using 20? You should use the 2004 because it's actually 1604 is not supported, I think, or it's almost end of life. So you're gonna have a really bad day when you start. A lot of things just don't care, right? So yeah, so 1804, I think, or 2004. Yeah. But it should be there. All right, so I think that's all the questions. We went over services and scripts over there, scripting and case. The information gathering, I think we've done this. What about these three problems? Yeah, the directory listing. Were there any questions about them? No questions, right? So you guys were able to do these, no problem. All right, great. So I'm not hearing any questions. All right, so then we're done with the scripting problem. So we're gonna get started with today's lecture topic. I'm not hearing any questions. So let's go to the table of contents. I'm actually going to introduce a very nice topic today, okay? It's something that is really like eye-opening if you've never thought about it as far as Linux, right? And it's almost like you have this power of scripts, and now this new tool is gonna take that power and make it exponential. It's like it's gonna multiply it completely, right? And it's called task scheduling, basically. So if we take a look over here, it is really this module that you should be able to see that. Okay, so that's the task scheduling, and in particular, the tool or the facility in Linux that does task scheduling is called Cron, or that's sometimes referred to as the Cron Tab also. So here you can see there's a few documents that I've posted already. So I have a PDF here, and these are just my notes, of course, on Cron, that, you know, the lecture, so you can read through it. This is what I'll talk about today, but, you know, you have my notes there. Also, so you have, yeah, this Wireshark reading, I'll probably move outside. Then you have a Word document. This is probably the homework assignment for this week, yeah. So as you can see, just so to kind of motivate what you'll be doing, few Linux commands, few more specific tools like TCP dump, and then task scheduling, of course. We'll look at some scripts again, and then you'll have to, basically what we're gonna learn is how do we enter jobs into Cron? Okay, that's basically the idea. I wanna enter a job into Cron, and I wanna be able to run, say, a job, an individual job, a command in Linux, or even a script, whether it's Bash, Perl, or Python. Okay, so this will be the assignment, of course, and you'll have, you have a few problems that you have to solve. And then over here, there's this from the managerial book. Remember the managerial book, I don't always go over it because you can just read through the slides, but it's a summary of what's in the book. And then here I have some slides on Cron as well. I'll have to download this. Let me click on it. Okay, open it. All right, so you can see, again, these are just my notes, but this is what we're going to talk about today. But I just want to show you that you already have everything written down. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Hold on. All right, I don't think I'm going to need the VM for the rest of class today, so I'm going to just While it's doing that, let me just grab my notes. All right, so we're gonna get started then. So I never teach in here, and this is like a very awkward room for me. But anyway, all right, so let's start with going to the whiteboard over here. As I said, all these notes, I already showed you where they are, and the slides. All right, so what are we talking about? We are talking about task scheduling. Oops. So we're talking about task scheduling, okay? Okay, so, and this is basically a tool called Cron. Okay, so that's the word of it. So basically, it's something for periodic program execution. Okay, so basically, you're going to have jobs or processes running in the background, but now you can schedule when you want these processes to run. All right, so this is Cron. It's called a Cron Facility. So Cron is a Unix facility that allows you to schedule programs for periodic execution. All right, so you schedule programs for periodic execution. Okay. So you can use Cron to do a lot of things, basically anything that your imagination allows you. So you can clean up. So for instance, to clean up backup files every night. So let's say that you constantly, let's say for instance, like video, right? Let's say that you have cameras and these cameras are recording video of surveillance or something, security. But after a week, you don't need it anymore because that's your policy. And so you just delete them, right? But you need to have a way of deleting these automatically. I mean, they're not just magically going to delete themselves, right? So you need to actually delete them, and somehow you use Cron for that. You're going to say on Cron, all right, I want you to delete these files at this time, this day, and here's the command for it. And it's basically just going to do it for you. You can also actually create backups. Let's say that you have a lot of work that you do, let's say that I create these videos for whatever reason, and the videos are there in the servers. Then I could also say every night, please back up these files just to another server because it's so important, right? Or something like that. Basically, it can call scripts, all right? So now there's basically, as I said, Cron, the daemon for it is Cron D. So Cron D is the daemon. Right? We learned last week what that word actually means. So, it means, program that's running. Okay, so that's the basic idea. So, so basically, in Cron, Cron is a program, it takes this input. Every user in the file system basically has a cron tab associated with that user account. And it basically is just a little text file. Oops, looks terrible. All right, so every user will have a cron tab, which is basically a text file, and every line is called an entry. So every entry is a valid thing that cron is going to try to interpret as a command to execute. All right, so you do basically entries of one line for it. Okay. Cron tab actually stands for cron table. By default, any user may add entries to the cron schedule. Okay, so everyone has access to it. Crontab entries are stored in separate files for each user, usually in a directory such as, and so that, you know, whenever you have in Linux, whenever you have things that have a lot of volume in terms of files, like log files is a good example of that, you usually store it in the var folder. All right, the var folder in the file system is usually a place for things that have a lot of volume, okay, that vary a lot. And so the Crontab entries are stored in separate files for each user, usually in var, specifically in var spool, and then cron, and then maybe cron tabs or something along those lines. Okay, so that's in the file system where you can find that information. So basically, Crontab entries direct cron to run commands at regular intervals, right? And that's really what we're going to learn today is how do we basically do that logic. So let's think about it then. Since we're talking about, let's call them one-line entries. Okay, so each one-line entry, let's say, right? So each one-line entry in the Crontab file has to have a specific format, all right? And the format is going to be, here we can see. So minutes. So this is a Crontab entry here. So it's going to be first minutes, then hours, then day of month, then it's going to be the month, oh, it's because it's on my mouse, that's what it is. Okay, yeah, month, and then weekly. I can't write like this. I hate this room. All right, so then we have weekly, which is the day of the week or weekday, let's say. Okay, and then finally we have the command. Okay, so the last part of the entry is the command. So let's do. Okay, so we have the command here. And so this is every entry that you put into Crontab is going to look like this. Okay, you're going to have to figure out, this is the command or the call to a script. And then these are the parameters that you have to specify, which basically says day of the month. What day of the month do you want to run this? On what month? I want to run it on, you know, the 22nd of March, right? And also you could also say, no, I want to run this only on Tuesdays. So then if you want to run something on Tuesday, then it's going to be just like this. And then if you want to specify specific hours, minutes, you specify them here. You can also specify intervals, etc. All right, so that's the basic idea of a Crontab entry. And that's really the whole week, this whole week will revolve literally around this. Will revolve literally around this and figuring these things out. So we'll do some examples today in the lecture. We'll learn how they work, and then in your homework, you'll have some problems where you have to do. Is this clear, guys? Make sense? All right, so you're gonna use white space to separate the fields, as you can see here. So you have one space basically to separate the fields. There's one here, but what's important here is all of these should not have spaces, but once you get to the command, because it's the last one, the command obviously can have spaces, because maybe your command is something like ls-l, obviously there's a space there, but that's perfectly fine. And you can have as many as you want, as long as they are in the command and only in the command. The final field command can contain spaces within it. Okay, the first 5 fields specify the times at which cron should execute the specific command. Okay, so that's what that specifies. All right, so let's take a look at a more detailed description of what is the range of values available for the fields. All right, so these are the fields. So these are the fields, and you have in here minutes. Okay, you have minutes, and minutes is basically minutes after the hour. So the range for that, and this would be important for you to know to solve the problem, is 0 obviously to 59. So 59 minutes, 0 to 59, 60 minutes. Then we have hours. Right, and the range for hours, that's the hours in the day. That's military time. So it's going to be 0 to 23. So what is midnight here? 0, right? So 0 is midnight. You guys see that? And then day of the month. Day of month. The range of values for this one is going to be 1 to 31, because you have some months that have 31 days. Okay, then the month itself, notice that it's not consistent because the month actually goes from 1 to 12. Whereas here it goes from 0 to 23, here it doesn't. So keep that in mind. And then finally, the weekday. The weekday is going to be, day of the week, and the range for that is going to be 0 to 6, where this one is Sunday. Okay, so that's it. So that's what you need to be able to figure this out. So we'll start doing some examples of these basically in a second. And it should be fun to kind of figure them out. So let's do now an entry in any of these fields can be a single number, a pair of numbers separated by a dash, which indicates a range, right? A comma separated list of numbers, right? And or an asterisk. And as you might imagine, an asterisk is a wild card that represents all valid values for that field. Okay. So sometimes you can leave things as just asterisk for certain fields, as you only need to say, it depends on the problem, basically. If you use the pound sign, just like in Python, the pound sign is going to be for commenting out an entry. So this will actually be useful when you do your homework. Run each entry separate. That would be my recommendation to you. Don't run all of them at the same time. Run each entry separately so that so it's easier to solve the problems themselves. All right, so let's do a problem then. let's do the following. So imagine you're in Cron Tab, right? You're going to add an entry. It's one single line. So you're going to say 0, 15, 30, 45. That's one entry. Then space. Then I do asterisk, 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 asterisk. Remember, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scheduling fields, and then the command. Right? So I'm gonna do here then 0, 15, 30, 45, asterisk, 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 asterisk. All of these are, I won't do this all the time, but just for the first time, these are the 5 fields. And then finally you do echo just in the command line. It's just like the print. And then you just print, let's say echo date. Okay, so now tell me. So the problems on the exam or on the, which by the way, the exam is coming up, right? This is week 4. When's our exam? Week 6, right? We talked about it. So I'll show you the calendar in a sec, but just study guide, everything. So yeah, so it's gonna be it's closed notes, but you're allowed a cheat sheet, 8.5 by 11, whatever you want. As tiny as you want to make it. All right. So anyway, so the problems that you would get on the exam are kind of like this. So I'll say, what is this cron tab entry doing? So tell me. You know, this isn't cron. Cron is going to read this and it's going to try to do something with it. So go ahead, please. Exactly. Very good. So it displays the date every 15 minutes. Basically. You see, that's how it works. All right. So let's just say here it displays. So this is number 1. So it displays the date every 15 minutes. Okay, let's do another one, number 2. Let me think about this. So let's do 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That's one entry. Okay, first one. Then 7, range, right? 7 to 18. Then asterisk, 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 which are the other 5. And then the command is actually just to do okay. So here now in your cheat sheet, you probably want to go back and remember, write down a couple of things. One of them is this, right? You want to write down that the format of this is minutes, hours. So the first 2 are minutes and then hours, day, a month, right? So that's one thing, right? You want to have that format, so minutes and hours, and then also the available range of values. Okay, minutes and hours, 0 to 59, hours 0 to 23. So now if we go to here for the problem, you need to tell me now how is this cron entry going to be interpreted by cron? Yeah. That's it. Very good. Nice job. All right. So yeah, so this is just a program, whatever name you want. It could be a script also. So, yeah. So let's say it runs a.exe, right? Every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, as we can see in the list, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Okay, and that's basically how that one works. Any questions so far? Pretty easy, right? Pretty straightforward. All right, so let's just look then at some more complex variations of this. Just to think about it, let's do another one. Let's call this one number 3, example 3. So here it's going to be, I'm not going to write the lines underneath anymore. So 0, 0, asterisk, 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 and then find oops. Sorry, I have trouble writing on this. I'll just continue down here, dash name Smith. Okay, so what is that one? What's that one doing there? It looks for their username, Smith, yeah? Well, let's think about it. It's 0, 0, right? So just go back to this one, right? So what is it? That's right. So only once at midnight. Yes. If you wanted to do every minute, we'll see that in a sec. But yeah, very good. So runs the find command at midnight. It should run it every midnight. So at midnight. Well, the asterisks take care of that. It means they're not a placeholder. They just mean all available values in that category. Okay. All right, so let's go back to it. So let's write it in here. So this one is runs the find command. Find command at midnight. Okay, let's do another one. 4. Let me think about this one. Okay. What about that one? So we can always just go back. Minutes and hours. Okay. What's it doing? Yeah. At 4 a.m., it runs. What is that? It's a shell script, exactly. So it's running a shell script, which is one of the things we will see in the lab on Thursday, is that I'm going to write a script, and then you're going to run the script from Cron. So now you're going to bring together the power of both things, you know, to do whatever you want. So full automation on that server, because you can write anything in a script and you can tell it when to write repetitively, etc. Prepare the files that you need for the script beforehand so you can do all those things. All right, so this one is going to be runs a shell script. So runs a shell script. Runs a shell script every day at 4 a.m. Okay, let's do another one. And then there will be some that are a little bit tricky. So Cron Tab actually has some, these are very intuitive, but as with any system, you can't always get 100% intuition or making something 100% intuitive. It's like you get 95%, and then there's that one thing that's completely unintuitive about it, right? And so we'll do that in a second. So let's here do another one. What was this, 5? So let's do 33, 1, asterisk, asterisk, and then just some script. So let's say Python m dot py. Okay, what about this one? What is it doing? Every what? Every week? Every day? What is the third one? Day of the month. Every first of the month. Very good. So day of the month first is, you know, every month, right? So some months have 28 days, some have 31. It doesn't matter. They all have a first day, right? Exactly. So that's how that would start to work. So now we can say over here, runs Python script, and then we can say at 3:30 a.m., right? But the tricky part was on the first day of each month. On the first day of each month. Okay. All right, so let's do another one. Number 6. All right, this one's a little bit different. So let's do 32 asterisk asterisk 0,6, and then just some other script. Okay. So what do you guys think? Oh yeah, go ahead, please. Very good. Yes. So the last one is, if we look at the table, is day of the week, right? So Sunday, so 0 and 6 of Sunday is 0, 6 is Saturday, right? So it's going to run on those days, right? Okay, and so it runs at 2:30 a.m. So I'll just write runs at 2:30 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. All right, great. So I think you guys are getting it, or I think you probably get it already. And then the only thing that remains is really like the more complex scenarios of it all. So let me see if I can find something a little bit more complex. Oh yeah, I got a couple. All right, let's do this one. So 30, 11, 31, 12, print, message. Right? And now the question is, what should this message be? Happy New Year, right? Very good. Happy New Year. So I may ask you some questions like that. So yeah, exactly. So this runs the, some kind of a print statement, the wall command maybe on the server, and it'll run at 11:30. Now, look at it carefully. Is there something that maybe it's doing 11:30 in the morning, right? So which is not, I mean, it's still Happy New Year, but what if we wanted 11:30 in the evening? 23? All right. Okay. Yes. So Happy New Year. I'll just write Happy New Year. Huh? Yeah, the other one is in the morning. It's not wrong. It's just our own brains kind of tell us, shouldn't that be 11:30? But there's nothing wrong with it. It's like a reflex. You understand? Okay, great. All right. Let's see. I think I have one more. So one last one, and let's do one more. All right, let's do this one. Let's see if you can figure. This one is harder. All right, so let's see if you can figure it out. All right, so think about that one. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, because you had gotten this one, right? So you know this is, you're sure it's the first of every month, but what about the other ones? Because the other ones are, we have the other two, right? So we just have to go to the table, month and weekday. So now it's actually what? What is that? Well, for the fourth one though, what is this one? If it's January, right? So this is actually January, but this is the first of every month. But now you're saying only in January. But then there's this. What is that one? Monday, right? So how do you interpret this? You had a, Yeah, that's a so this is an exception. Yeah, go ahead. That's also something how the way that you could interpret it, yeah. But it's not the correct one. because this is what I was saying. Everything is very intuitive, except we have some situations. Here it has to be interpreted as so here we have a rule that says here we have day of the week and day of the month, which are basically an or statement. And so if both are filled in, the entry is run on that day of the month and on matching day of the week. Therefore, this entry would run January 1st and every month. Do you guys see that? So this one's a little bit tricky, but I'm not going to try to trick you on the exam like that. This is just more the way that you would actually test this is to like run it. Yeah, go ahead. Not every Monday in January. Every Monday. It's like an or statement. This or that. So you have, I guess when people created Cron, they said, you know, if we do this trick, we have even more flexibility of scheduling within the language or the sentence. Got it? So now, obviously, these are just some examples of how it works. When you're actually doing this for your particular scenario, you'll have to really think about it. All right, great. So are there any questions on Cron entries? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, you're going to do that. So today was just a lecture. Go ahead. You're going to have to run. Well, that's what the homework assignment is. So now, actually, that's a good lead in to the lab. All right, so let's take a look at the lab. So I'm going to go over here to, so we still have 7 minutes. So I'm going to go over here to the homework for this week, right? So let's take a look at the Word document. And here it is. So I already closed. Oh, no, the VM is still open. Oh, no, it's closed. Let me start it. So as you can see here, this is how we're going to run Cron, right? So we're going to just basically type Crontab E and then open up the editor so that we can start typing up our, and then of course you will have to implement these and show evidence that they actually run. So start the virtual machine. Okay. So here's an example, for instance, one entry from your assignment. So you guys know how to interpret this now. So what's this one doing here? This line here, what is it doing? At yeah, 10:30 what? On which day? Monday. What do? You calculate the uptime and you redirect it into a file. Do you see that? So we'll talk about these symbols, these two little symbols. We'll talk about those on Thursday. That's called redirection. You've seen me do the piping, or that's very important in Python. But let's just think about Crontab E over here. So I already have a terminal. I'm going to open up my terminal here. And I can minimize this. And you can type Crontab -E, right? And I'll use Nano. I usually use Nano. And now you're in the Cron tab, and that's it. So as you can see, everything with a pound sign in front of it is a comment. Here it provides you what we discussed today: minute, hour, day of the month, and then day of the week, and then the command itself. So if you want to enter something now, you're going to do it here. You see that? So you're going to enter, whatever that was in the handout. I don't know why it's not showing. All right, so this one, so you're going to actually have to run this command and make it work. Obviously, if you're doing this on this class sometimes runs on Monday, sometimes, so I don't know. When you do this lab, it'll probably be Thursday, right? So then you'll have to change this to what? This one will be changed to what? What? 4, okay. And then the time, well, you can either wait until 10:30 for it to happen, or maybe change it to like 5 minutes from now. And then it will calculate the uptime and save it to a file on your desktop, as you can see here, home user C desktop. This should say C, right? Not user. For it to save on your own VM. Does this make sense? All you have to do is literally like copy this one line as an entry into that cron tab here. So one entry here. That's an entry in cron tab. Control X, save, you're done. And then just wait. And now you know the logic, you know how to run it. So that's basically what we will do on Thursday as part of the homework assignment. Are there any questions? All right, so we'll stop here for today. And then on Thursday, as I said, we'll do the redirection because you need that part for remind me, you need that part for the lab, and then you'll work on your own homework problems. Yes.
I received an email.
Okay.
Saying that I haven't been going to any.
Yeah, that's my mistake. Are you Griffin? Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. I was like,
you're not in trouble. They just make me like find people, and I couldn't find your name in my.
I was like,
but you're not in trouble. Huh? You received something? That's my mistake. What's your name? Yeah, I just didn't see your name for whatever reason. I don't know. You may have come, but when I took pictures, you may have been like neither at the top nor at the bottom. That's my mistake.
okay.
But you're not in any trouble with. Don't worry.
But the first lab day, so I don't have a laptop. So would
Yes.
it be all right if I just join the Zoom call? So
You can use the Zoom as you saw. Oh, sorry. I should have stopped this.